We'll go ahead and get started here in about a minute or two. We'll give everybody an opportunity to join us. All right, and while we are waiting for everyone to join, I'm going to go ahead and post in our chat the guidelines for today. We'll also cover this after we go through introductions, but it's just a good opportunity to look at some of the guidelines for the conversation, just to make sure that we keep it a safe and comfortable and welcoming place for everyone. All right, well, it looks like we're two past the hour, so we can go ahead and get things started. We might have a couple more people join us here, but thank you so much for registering and for joining us for Yoga and Recovery Chats. I am Jason Wood. I am the Director of Community Engagement at ANID. We are a nonprofit that provides free peer support to anyone struggling with an eating disorder. We've got support groups, peer mentorship program, a helpline, and we also get really excited to be able to host events like this with our friends at Eat, Breathe, Thrive. So I've got Michelle joining us today from Eat, Breathe, Thrive. Michelle, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Welcome, everybody. It's such an honor to be here with everyone from all over the world, different places. My name is Michelle, and I'm from Eat, Breathe, Thrive. We are also a nonprofit organization that has courses that work through yoga and eating disorder education. There we have a couple of different courses, as well as hosting chats like this, and we have what's called our campfire series, which is another talk series like this where you just come and talk about different real subjects to everybody that's involved. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Michelle. And again, thank you everyone for joining us. We're looking forward to starting this conversation. So I went ahead and I posted in the chat some of the community guidelines, but we'll just kind of run through several of these pretty quickly. So for starters, with dignity, just make sure to be kind and respectful when talking with other people. Diversity, we celebrate all identities, backgrounds, experiences here. So definitely make sure to welcome people. A sober state, we affirm a responsibility to engage in this group in a sober state of mind. For safety and stability, if at any point you're feeling triggered or you're feeling uncomfortable, definitely reach out to myself or Michelle. We can steer the conversation in a different direction. We can talk to you on the side, but we just want everybody to feel supported and safe here. For presence and attention, make sure to put the cell phones and stuff away. If you have to take a call or something and have to step aside, that's totally fine. But be mindful of paying attention to the group and the commitment here for the next hour. And then just some respectful discussion guidelines. Stay away from numbers as that can be triggering for people. Maybe use X in place of that. Also stay away from listing specific foods. You could talk about trigger foods or something of that nature, but maybe don't name the specific food. We want to hear your experiences, so try to stick with some of the I statements and just be mindful of stepping in and stepping out. We've got a relatively smaller group here today, so we'll all have plenty of time to talk and converse with each other. But just be mindful that there are other people here who might want to share as well. So with that said, we'll go ahead and dive on into introductions with
Mhm.
everyone else who's joining us here. If you'd like to go ahead and post in the chat your name, your location, your preferred pronouns, and then the answer to a question today, since we're going to be talking about motivation, I got to thinking about what's a song or a movie or a poem or a book? What is something that inspires you out there? It could be a quote you go to when you're having a challenging day or a tough day. What is something that inspires you that you'd like to share with the group today? Go ahead, definitely feel free to post that in the chat now. Yeah, I was thinking about this, Michelle, and
Mhm.
High Hopes from Panic at the Disco. That's like my song. I don't know why, but it just always gets me like amped up and ready to go. And it's been one of those that I listen to quite often when I'm having like a tough day or a challenging
Right.
day of recovery.
Yeah, that would be a good song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, haven't really thought about this question before, but um, trying to
Ooh,
think
I
of the
like this
name of the
quote
song.
from Katie.
Fight song. Fight song
Fight song,
is
that's
one
a
of
good
mine
one.
that I
That is
go
a
to.
really good song. Yeah. Yeah, we should put together like a playlist. Have a Spotify playlist or something for
There
recovery.
we go.
So yeah, yeah. Let's see. We've got I really
Got
like
Katie.
the quote that Katie had posted in there. If life feels an uphill struggle, imagine the view from the top. That is something that
Love that.
really speaks to me. When I started my recovery, I was living out in Denver, Colorado with the mountains and stuff. And I would always look at the mountains and it reminded me of this process, of this journey that I'm on. And that's pretty cool to think about it. Like, you've hit the summit or you're at the
Mhm.
top. Worrying is suffering twice. Ooh, I really like that too from Kat, because I am we just had the Olympics and stuff, and I would have won a gold medal for overthinking. So that is something that definitely I'm going to keep that one in my back pocket because I like that quote.
Yeah, and then we have Haley from Kansas. I know a place is
Ooh,
the
yes.
song that they've picked.
Yeah, in little voice. We've got another song there. Yeah, see, I'm loving this, everybody. These are some great quotes and just some really good ideas that I think we can all kind of relate to and use as we go about motivation. And one of the things that I wanted to really talk about today as we dive on into the conversation here is that we're probably all at different points in our recovery and our healing journeys. And
Mhm.
there's still that need for motivation. At the beginning, motivation might look a little bit different than motivation does a couple years in, or if you're in more of a maintenance stage. But there's still that possibility that you kind of fall into that quasi recovery or whatever, where you kind of just, you don't get lazy, but you kind of, it goes to the back burner a little bit and it's not as forefront of mind. But motivation is still needed. So, one of the questions that I have for the group today and that I'd love to explore is just, um, you know, where do you find yourself saying, hey, I need motivation right now? What aspects of your recovery, what aspects of your life do you feel like that motivation might be lacking a little bit and you could use some support?
Mhm. So at this point, you can unmute yourself and speak. Everyone that comes forward, you won't be on the video when it's set up, and or you can just write in the chat and let us know kind of what keeps you going.
Yeah. Yeah, Amy Beth says flexibility with recovery. That's definitely one. It can get hard. Um, yeah, and this kind of relates to it, a structure and routine when I don't have a solid plan for the day. That's one thing that I struggled with, especially early on in my recovery, where it was like everything was very structured and I had that routine. But then as I started to progress, like that routine started to go away, or that structure started to go away. And I realized I had to spend a lot more time checking in with myself every day. I had to prioritize just those check-ins, whether it was more journaling or just some more time doing yoga or mindful activities like that. And I found that that was really helpful in identifying why I wanted to recover still, why I wanted to heal, why I was doing what I was doing. And once I could identify that why, I could definitely find better ways to motivate myself.
Mhm.
Hi, I'm Jonna. I'm from Cleveland and my pronouns are she, her. Um, and I'm an emotional binge eater is my issue. For me, like I'll get inspired and motivated, but the persistence and the self-discipline is an issue for me to keep going. What I find helps is writing an action plan every day, like almost hourly, what I'm going to do. And I do that the night before. And then if I don't know what to do next, and I try and write a meal plan as well. If I don't know what to do next, I just go back to that action plan. I don't do it every day, but I do it on the days that I have less structure and I don't have a schedule that dictates it. And someone told me the quote the other day, self-discipline is when your conscience tells you to do something and you don't argue with it.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that that with us and putting together a plan. That can be really helpful. Whether it's, I know for me it's going on vacation. Whenever I know that my routine is going to be extremely disrupted with something where I'm either traveling for work or going on vacation, I have to make sure to put together some sort of plan in order to keep that motivation and to keep that discipline going.
Mhm. I
Yeah,
have
so
from Linda, constantly becoming a bit obsessed with new insights and other people, um, and then stick to that as sort of a new religion, a new way to follow, and it keeps her in the black and white thinking and doing, and it keeps her from feeling and learning how and want sorry, and it keeps me from feeling and learning how I want the and feel things.
yeah, that is a really good conversation. I was just having a
Mm.
conversation with someone the other day about this because I'm one of those people that like if I set a goal and I don't get to it, then I feel like a complete failure and like I really lose all motivation. Or if I set a goal, like I become obsessed with it and it's something that I'm just completely focused on and it is very black or white thinking. And I think self-compassion plays such an important role there in being able to set those goals, but maybe look at them more as guidelines rather than like a pass fail
Mhm.
or something like that and say, hey, you know, I tried this. I did it. I can learn. I can do it differently next time. And just kind of approach everything with maybe a lens of curiosity and a willingness to learn. And that's helped me back off a little bit when it comes to some of that obsession. I'm curious to see if someone else in the conversation has more on that.
Mhm. That self-compassion and grace that you mentioned was brought up.
Mhm.
I heard someone just about to say something.
Hi, that was me. Um, I just wanted to kind of build off that same topic. So hi everyone, my name's Haley. She, her pronouns. I'm located in Kansas City, Missouri. So hello in the heart of the country. Um, I think for me, that black and white thinking is a really tough one. In a conversation I've been kind of having both with friends and people in my community, but also largely with myself, is figuring out what recovery looks like for me. Like, I don't remember what my life looked like or how my brain worked prior to an eating disorder kind of rearranging things in there, you know? So, like, I've only really known my own brain in an eating disorder state. And so, trying to define what recovery looks for me looks like for me can be really difficult. So I'm always looking for those outside examples. And then I'm kind of holding those as like the black or white, like this is what recovery has to look like in order for it to be valid and real. And in the process of kind of doing that, I devalue the progress that I've made because it doesn't look good enough. Like, and I've kind of been focusing in on like what does like maybe progress is just enough for me. Like maybe I don't get to like a full, rainbows and unicorns complete recovery. Um, Great if I did, but like maybe sometimes just doing good enough is something I should be celebrating more. So that's something I've been thinking about.
I love that comment. Like, just doing what you're doing should be celebrated, right? Because every day there's something,
Yeah.
even if it's small, there's something, and then just celebrating that.
Yeah. Right now, being here today, we should all celebrate this because it can be challenging to come on here and to share your stories or to be a part of this group and conversation. So that in and of itself is worth celebrating.
Yeah, I really relate to what Haley said. I've struggled with this for most of my life, and I feel like for the longest time, anytime I listened to like a speaker in recovery, and it was kind of like they were speaking in order to motivate other people or give them hope, but I couldn't relate to their story at all. It was a lot of times it was cis hetero white women. I'm trans. I'm not, and I don't have a partner. I don't have kids. I'm older than I look. And yeah, I just kept feeling like there must be something intrinsically wrong with me. I also was given this like idea, especially like when I was a teenager, I feel like my parents were sold this idea that like you go to treatment, maybe you have to do it twice, and then like you get it, something clicks and you're better. And like also that there's a very rare chance that like there's going to be a relapse or anything like that. Um and a lot of my family members would always say to me too, like, oh, you're still struggling with this, or like, what's wrong? Like, I don't understand it, or my parents would look at other people's kids who recovered, but like, I didn't even understand how complicated everything underneath it was. First, I didn't know what was underneath it. And then once I realized, I was like, those people may not have the same, I mean, they definitely don't have the same issues, but like, maybe their underlying issues were a lot simpler. Maybe they had different resources. I had also a lot of like support that was very shaming and blaming and threatening, don't, if you don't do this by this date or else, like, and I don't have that now, thankfully, and it makes a big difference. But yeah, it's super confusing. And then sometimes even now it's like I have to really like reevaluate what I think recovery should look like for me, or like maybe not even have an expectation or set them too high and just kind of take it day by day. I'm neurodivergent, I have ADHD, but I think about like my friends with autism and how they forever have to adjust certain things about their lives and the way they are in the world in order for things to be more comfortable, and so that they're not, when they bump up against certain things, it doesn't completely knock them off their feet. And that's kind of the same way with the eating disorder. And I feel like it would be unrealistic for me to think that this isn't going to be a constant challenge for me. But for a while I was feeling like that's what recovery is, or that's the place. I'd love to be in that place where it's like such a small blip in my mind, but I don't know that that's realistic.
Yeah, one of the things that I go out and I share my story with an eating disorder in hopes of being able to inspire others. But one of the things that I do is I always make sure that people realize that it's their recovery and that they're going to define it themselves. One of the things that I just can't stand is when I see other organizations or other people out there try to define what recovery should mean or what recovery should look like. because it's going to look different for everybody. I tell people all the time, like, I feel like I'm living in a state of recovery where it's still in my mind. Like, I've still got that eating disorder voice up there that I've got to fight through every single day. I've got the tools and the resources, and I'm learning how to overcome it, but it's still there. So when I hear other people who then turn around and say, "Oh, it's like a light switch, and I just turned it off one day, and now I'm magically recovered," like, I just can't comprehend that. Maybe that worked for them, but that's not how it worked for me. And to me, it's so important that we just recognize that everybody's definition and what recovery looks like is going to be different for every single person.
Mhm. And that all or nothing thinking. So we were kind of talking black and white, but also that all or nothing where, I have to flip that switch and be healthy. And sometimes it can get frustrating and it's like, well, I can't just flip that switch. This is an everyday thing for me.
Yeah, I'm curious in the group, what kind of activities or things have you done? We mentioned some wonderful songs to listen to and stuff, but what do you do on those days where it's really challenging and maybe that motivation is lacking? Um, is there any type of maybe visualization that you do or any type of other activities that you found are helpful that perhaps somebody else in the group today would be able to try out and see if that can help them?
I can speak on that if that's all right. If I'm not interrupting anybody. Um, Again, my name is Jonna. Uh, you mentioned visualization, and I do a little meditation every day. It's super simple, and I can do it in like 15 seconds. And I just I close my eyes and I take a few deep breaths and I visualize the breath going down through me, opening up the bottoms of my feet, roots coming out and going down into the roots of the trees. And then I breathe the wisdom of the roots up. So that grounds me. And then I visualize my energetic edges where they are, like way out in the room or around me. And I pull those in from behind and all the sides. And I brighten my light on the inside. So I'm like a pillar of energy. So that centers me. And then I visualize a porous web-like uh, web filter. And I filter that from my feet all the way up around to my face. And that filter protects me. What doesn't suit me just floats on by. It's not a wall. And what does suit me kind of just comes on in and melts to me. So I'm grounded, I'm centered, and I'm protected. And that helps me when I'm going into a situation that I'm feeling insecure, when I'm going into a family situation, especially with my mother, when I'm going into, any kind of thing that I just really want to show up as my authentic self. And I feel very safe in that space. And that really helps me because for me, it's hard for me to, I wanted to say I'm going for a walk helps me on those days I'm not motivated, but putting my shoes on and getting outside and going for a walk, it takes motivation. And so
Mhm.
sometimes just a visualization helps when I don't feel like doing anything. So thanks.
Love that. Thank you. Any others that have either a visualization like that or just something that gets them going? I love that Jason had mentioned songs in the very beginning because that's one of my things is my alarm clock is actually a motivation song. So that's the first thing I hear when my alarm goes off.
I love that. sometimes, you know, what I have to do is I just have to hop in the car and drive around for a little bit and listen to the radio like as loud as I can. And just that if I need to get that escape, like for 10 minutes, sometimes that's what I do. And it's mostly probably just to listen to music and listen to the radio, but it's that time that I have to myself that I need. And I was going to say, just to kind of add on to what Jonah said, but yeah, I can relate to the family. It's always around those family situations, it seems like, where you need that extra motivation or it's an additional challenge to navigate. I hear it time and time again. I've experienced it myself, and it's definitely identifying those situations and knowing ahead of time, I think, can really help you be proactive and staying motivated and staying with your goals and what you're wanting to achieve. Being able to identify those different triggering situations in advance. And also, I can't remember who said it, but adult paint by numbers, that's an incredible idea. I saw it somewhere in the chat and I love that. Yeah. Get artistic, paint, and paint outside the lines. It's okay to paint outside the lines. Have fun with it.
Yeah. Painting and dance, someone else had mentioned dancing. Those are two things that can get you going. And if you actually sing, if you're in your car, like Jason was saying, singing it can actually be a real motivator. Doesn't matter how you sound, it's just getting your voice heard.
Oh, wow, you can even do paint by numbers with your own photos. That sounds like a really good holiday gift idea this year. Yeah, I'm
That
all
does.
set. Here we are in August, and I already know what I'm getting people. Yeah. All right. So we are approaching the bottom of the hour, which means we'll be getting close to our yoga practice, which I'm really excited about. Michelle's going to lead us through that today. But before we do so, is there anything else that anybody would like to share today in terms of motivation in your recovery?
I don't know. This kind of connects to what I was saying before, but the topic of motivation I think is really tough for me because I tend to turn motivation into kind of a self criticism. Um, like I don't feel motivated to recover a good chunk of the time, and I see that as some kind of moral failing on my own part, to not want to be better or to not want what other people want for me. Um, but then just reminding myself that like the motivation will come in seasons. Sometimes it's just getting through the day. Sometimes it's just remembering that even if you're not motivated, you can still do the minimum and that can be good enough. So it's okay not to feel motivated sometimes. Um, it's something I have to remind myself of.
Yeah.
And I
Thank you for
think
sharing.
part of that goes back to, looking at the small things. Even if it's the minimum, it's still something. It's still moving forward. Right? So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and in those moments where I get really tough on myself, or I feel really down on myself for maybe not feeling that motivation or feeling that I want to do what others want me to do, is I try to look at myself. It might sound a little weird, but I try to look at myself the way my dog or my pet would look at me. And it's just like give myself that love in those moments where I tend to like heap on the self-criticism and the being like, why aren't you motivated about this? Or what's wrong with you? Like, I try to just look at myself the way like my pet would look at me, or maybe even my best friend would look at me, and take that objective perspective.
Okay. Well, again, thank you all for being here and sharing. I'm going to move us over to the mat or the floor or a chair, wherever you're feeling that you want to do your yoga from or your movement practice from. And I'll just give you a second if you do want to move. If you could have your camera on, that'd be great. No one else, like on the video, nobody's camera will be showing. And it's more for me to be able to help and cue you, but it doesn't have to be. This is where you want to be comfortable. So if you want to keep your camera off, that's also completely fine. Do what feels best for you. Okay. So I'm just going to back up a little bit here. Okay, so you, like I said, you can be standing up if you want, you can be sitting, you can be in a chair. So just starting in a place that is comfortable for you, where you want to start. I'm gonna start sitting. And so I just want us to focus into our body a little bit at this point. And it's an invitation to just feel and hear what's going around you. So perhaps you might feel yourself sitting on the floor where your feet are in contact. Perhaps you'll feel yourself breathing or your heart beating. Might even be some noises that you can hear around you. At this moment, you might want to make an intention, something that you're hoping to get from this yoga. It could be inspiration, it could be relaxation, it could be motivation for the rest of your day if it's early in the morning for you. And as we start to bring movement into our body, remember that it's what feels comfortable for you and your body. So if something doesn't feel right, feel free to do something different. I just want you to connect with your breath a little bit. And if you choose, we're just going to lift our arms up over our head. You can do one arm, you can do both arms. And then bringing them down in front of us to our heart. And then again, we're going to come up and lift, really lift towards the root. And then bringing it back down. You know, if you choose, try to put that with your breathing. So nice deep breath in, lift through the ribs, lift through the hands, and bringing it down. And one more time, nice deep breath in. A big exhale. If you're sitting or standing, just taking one arm, lifting it straight up, and then crossing it over your body. If you're sitting, you're going to really anchor the same hip into the floor and reach across. Remember, you can come out of this at any time. Some people like to add movement and just have constant movement through their yoga. That's okay if that's what you want to do. And let's come back up, reach right back up, and then bringing it down. And let's go over to the other side if you choose, reaching up and then slowly coming across. And again, sometimes people like to continue with movement rather than being static. It's your choice. I know for me, especially in the mornings, I like to have more movement with my yoga. Whereas at night, I like those long static stretches. And when you're ready in your own time, just reaching back up again and bringing that arm down. So if you're in a chair or if you're sitting on the floor, we're going to go into some spinal twists. So if you're on the floor, legs can be straight, they can be crossed. You can even have your legs bent. And we're just going to twist our body to one side. If you're wanting a little bit extra, you can actually use your hand on the side of your leg. Or you can sink into the pose and just feel the twist. And again, you can add movement if you would like. So some people will come to a short twist and then just go right over to the other side. Choosing and doing what feels best for your body in this moment. Because tomorrow it could be different. So you can hold here if you like on this one side, or you might choose to go over to the other side. Often one side seems different than the other, feels different than the other. And so this side, you might decide, oh, I do want to do movement. That's okay. You can be pushing into this position, or you can just be relaxing into it. Now we're going to go onto our hands and knees, if you feel comfortable, and go into cat-cow. For those of you who are sitting in a chair and you don't want to go onto your hands and knees, you can just do cat-cow by a little arch and then a roll. And if you're on the floor, it's the same thing. We're going to roll our head under and then arching our back, looking forward, and then roll again. As you're doing your cat-cow, see if you can find a rhythm that feels right for you. You might want to really hold the cow position where you're arching your back. And then you might just swing through and then go right into cat and then arch and hold. Or you might just be moving between the two with no real breaks in between. Perhaps you're feeling your hands and your knees on the ground. There could be some sensations through your neck and your low back. And just like our motivation, our recovery, everything is different for everybody. And every day is a little bit different. So again, you can continue to do cat-cow, or we're going to take it right back into child's pose. So we're going to bring our bottoms to our heels and then just move our hands forward up to the top of our mat and then move our head down towards the floor. And if you're in a chair, you can be doing this where you're reaching forward and bringing your head through your arms. And sometimes people find that the stretch above their head is just too much in child's pose. So feel free to bend your arms if that's what you would like. And now in your own time and your own way, I'm just going to get you to come up and then roll over onto your back. Again, you can stay sitting in a chair, and if you are, we'll go through how to do that next. So if you're sitting in a chair, you're just going to be sitting upright. You're going to take one leg and you're going to cross it across your knee. If you're on the floor, you're going to do the same thing. And then we're just going to slowly come up into bridge pose. If you're in a chair and you've got your legs crossed, what you're going to do is you're going to lift up onto the toe of the foot that's on the floor and then just slowly move towards your leg so that you can feel a bit of the stretch, possibly in your hip, sometimes in your back. And then we're just going to hold that. Again, listening to our bodies. If we need to come out of that bridge, come out of that bridge, bring our bodies back down to the floor. If we want to stay with movement, we're going to slowly lift up into our bridge, and then we're slowly going to drop down into our bridge. One thing with this type of yoga that I do specifically, and Eat, Breathe, Thrive does, it's about feeling your body and working with your body. Now we're going to, if you choose, you can stay with this leg up or bring both legs down to the floor and lifting our hips towards the roof, really securing your feet on the ground. Some people with their bridge like to bring their shoulders under and join their hands behind their back. So if you're sitting in a chair right now, that's what you're going to do. You're going to bring your shoulders back, join your hands behind your back, and then just really lift and make a little bit of space between your hands and your body. And again, you can be going through movement, so you can still have your arms there. Lower your hips a little bit, lifting them back up. You can just be holding that bridge. If you choose, you might pull your knees a little bit closer together if you're on the floor. If you're in a chair, you're going to relax your hands closer to your body and just concentrate on pulling your shoulders back and down. Going to release back down to the floor. Now we're just going to take our other leg and cross it over. And again, we're going to lift up into our bridge. Hands are just by our sides. Remember, you can add movement. You can come down when you like. You're in your chair. Again, you're just crossing your leg over, coming up onto your toe, and then leaning forward or not. Sometimes just crossing that leg over and pushing the knee towards the floor is enough. Then when you're ready, you're going to take that top leg and just bring it back down to the ground, and then slowly lower your legs to the floor. We're just going to pull our legs into our chest. If you're sitting in your chair, you can do one leg at a time and just pull it into your chest. Again, some people like to rock side to side when they're doing this. Some people just hold. We're going to drop our feet down to the floor. And perhaps walk your feet to the edge of your mat, and we're just going to drop our knees side to side. You can continue to drop your knees side to side, or just take them and hold them on one side. And if you're holding them, you might want to bring your arms up to chest level and out from the sides. So that our arms would be here. If we want to, they can still be down by our sides. And then slowly bring your top leg over so that it's even with your bottom leg. So now we're into a twist. Get over to the other side. We're just going to bring our legs up, and we're going to bring them all the way over to the other side. You can relax and just fall into this pose. You can be taking that top hip and kind of pushing it to stack your knees on top of each other. You could be relaxing through the shoulders, or you can be reaching and trying to push them down to the ground. And when you're ready, we're going to come back onto our back. Our knees are bent. And we're going to go into boat's pose. So to do this, you may just have your feet in the air. Might lift your hands up off the ground. Or you may also lift your head off the ground. And for those of you that are used to boat, you may also straighten out the legs. Breathing through this position. Some people like to use movement, so they might open the legs and then bring them back in, and open the legs and bring them back in. So straightening and folding. You can also go from being down and then into boat, whichever your boat is. If you're just holding your boat, when you're ready, perhaps dropping it down and taking a little bit of a break before going back into your boat. Just holding your boat or doing your movement. I'm going to sit up, but you can keep going. And if you can, I want you to try to bring yourself into your body and see if you can notice anything that's going on. Perhaps you're holding your breath. Perhaps you are getting warm. And now bringing your legs and your hands down to the ground. Taking a nice deep breath in. And slowly exhale. Finding yourself in a place that you can stay for a few moments. You might have your legs straight. You might have them bent. You might decide to sit up. And if you like, I invite you to take your hands and put one above your belly button and one below your belly button. So please stay in the position that you're in that feels comfortable. I'm going to sit up. And now as you breathe in, I want you to think about the space between your hands. Can you add space between your hands as you inhale? And then the hands will come closer together when you exhale. If you've ever watched a baby breathe, they breathe right into their stomachs, right into their tummies. If you watch most adults breathe, we breathe in our chest, these little wee tiny tight breaths. And so right now we're just practicing baby breaths, breathing right into our stomach. And then exhaling, allowing the hands to come back together, the belly button going towards the spine. As you're breathing, bringing your attention back to the space between your body and the floor or your body and the chair. Perhaps you feel your feet on the ground. Perhaps you're noticing, again, some noises that are in the room. When you're ready, I just want you to open your eyes and see if you can see a few things that are red around you. Just one or two things. So you'll be moving your neck side to side, maybe up and down to look around. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Just slowly bringing yourself up when you're ready to be in front of your cameras again. Just any closing thoughts or feelings, things that came to you maybe when we were doing the yoga in regards to motivation that you might want to share before we end. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Feel
everyone.
free to unmute yourself as well. Is there anything you want to add, Jason? As we're coming
Oh,
to our close, we have some resources.
Yeah, we've got some amazing resources. I just want to thank you first of all. That was an amazing practice. So I definitely I'm feeling ready to go the rest of the day. I found that motivation I needed for the day. But both Eat, Breathe, Thrive and Anded, we are here to support you along the way. So if you ever need anything at all, definitely feel free to reach out to either organization, because we've both got some fantastic support resources available. And we can always connect you with the other organization too, because we're good friends. So you definitely don't have to face any of this alone. Know that we are always here for you. And I just want to, again, thank everybody and recognize how big this was to be able to come together today and to have these conversations, and to everyone who shared. I know it can be scary, it can be anxiety producing, but it was great to be together today for this hour.
And I just wanted to mention, especially with the motivation and moving forward, sometimes we think that we're all alone in this. But right now, there's 13 other people in this room who are also doing this, and we're all doing it together and from all over the place. Jason was naming some of the places that you were from before we started, and it's incredible. It's everyone all over the world, and we're all together.
Yeah, multiple countries, many backgrounds, many identities. It's great that we're all able to come together and connect, because there really is so much healing in community. All right, everyone. Well, thank you again for joining us today. Definitely stay posted if you enjoyed this conversation. We'll have another yoga and recovery chats coming up. I believe it's in November. I don't have the calendar in front of me right now, but it will be coming up here again in a couple of months, and we can all get back together. You can register on the Eat, Breathe, Thrive site. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with all of you again soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the
Thank you,
next one
everybody, for
is
your honest
November.
share.
Thank you so much
Yes,
for the
thank you.